Hey guys, hope you're well. I just wanted to record this quick video today on how most Shopify brands that we work with are actually testing completely wrong. So if you're watching this video, probably at this point you know what an A/B test is, what a split test is, particularly on Shopify. And on your ecom brand or ecom store, you're probably looking at running a number of A/B tests. Now, a lot of brands do this completely wrong in a number of ways. One of the biggest issues and one of the biggest mistakes that we see over and over again is actually just not using a software for A/B testing. So mistake number one would be not using a software. And the reason why this is a big deal isn't, to sell more softwares or anything like that. We're not affiliated with any software. It's really just because when you push something live on your website, people going to the website see that thing, right? Now, the traffic going to the website at that moment in time might be different to the traffic going to the website last week or next week or next month, and so on and so forth. And so, a big problem that you'll run into, which we see over and over again with Shopify brands, is they'll be like, oh, well, I tested that before and it didn't really work. And you'll be like, okay, great. Can you give me the test data? And they'll be like, well, uh, not really. I mean, I just remember that we pushed it live like 6 months ago or a year ago, and I think our conversion rates went down. Oh, okay. So how much did your conversion rates go down by? Oh, I don't really know. It might have been 10% or 50%. I don't really know. It just went down. Oh, okay. And did you run the test concurrently with the control group, meaning that the new change and the current website were live at the same time? 50% of traffic went to one, 50% went to the other. No, no, no. I just pushed it live. Okay. Can I see how it was implemented? Well, it was on an old theme. I think that theme has been deleted now. Oh, okay. Well, that's not really a test. We have no data, right? I can't go back and say, okay, definitively you pushed this thing live on this date, and against the control, which is your current live website, it either outperformed or underperformed by X% when it came to conversion rates. I have no data at that moment in time. So not using a software is a big one. Again, you guys use whatever software you want. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but my personal recommendation is IntelliGems. Really easy to use, and I might actually do a tutorial on it for one of my next videos. And it's also pretty cheap. I think I forget how much, but it's pretty cheap for a subscription. Whereas some of these other ones like Convert.com, they're quite expensive. I think that's several $100s per month if you want to sign up for Convert.com. So definitely not using software is a really big one. Another issue that we see very often is actually to do with coming up with the test in the first place. And so, what I like to do, and I'll make some notes here just below this, is uh, I'll call this test formation, should I say? And what I like to do here is I like to understand the whole user journey, right? And so, what I like to do is I like to observe the user journey, and I usually will do that through Microsoft Clarity. And then I'll see where the friction is on the way to the checkout. And so what I mean by that is a really nice test that we ran not long ago was with this flooring brand, right? And basically, users would arrive on the homepage, so they'd arrive on the HP, and then they would immediately, when you watch the recordings and look at the heat maps, they would immediately open up the menu, and then inside of the menu, they'd open a sub menu, and then inside of the sub menu, they would select a collection. Now, what that told us was that when it came to the homepage, people just wanted to go straight into the collection that they were most interested in. Okay. And you might say, okay, that sounds good. So what you'll then suggest is bringing that out of the menu and putting it on the home page, and you're completely right. But there's another layer to this, which is if you have 50 collections, you can't display 50 collections easily on a home page, especially on mobile. So then we had to figure out what are the best selling collections or what are the most popular collections. And this was backed up by some of the data on the back end of Shopify, but also when it came to the Clarity data that we were looking at. And for those of you that don't know, Microsoft Clarity is just a free app that we install on client stores. It's from Microsoft. It's very lightweight. It doesn't slow down your website. And basically, it allows us to see heat maps, scroll maps, and some other bits of information as well for users visiting the website. Now, what we found was that in other areas of the website where there were swatches for collections, there was one or two collections that were the most popular that everyone seemed to click on. And when you looked at the brand's best-selling products, those best-selling products were in those collections as well. And so the test that we wanted to run here, so the test to run was create a swatch of most popular collections on the HP. And so the idea was if we could just cut down, essentially, I'm going to do a line through here, if we could just cut down on all of these steps over here, and so the user just arrives on the home page and then selects a collection from the swatch that's already there. They don't need to open a menu, open a submenu, and then click on the collection, which means that we've reduced the amount of clicks from being they land on the home page, one click to open the menu, one click to select a submenu, a third click to then get into the collection, to they land on the home page, and one click to get to the collection. So we've reduced the amount of clicks by 66%, which is massive, right? You've reduced friction by 2/3 in this situation. So test formation is definitely a big issue that we see quite often, where brands are testing kind of some random stuff, and a lot of brands, in my experience, they seem to very often, they very often err towards testing price because they're always about maybe it's too expensive or maybe I can charge more money. And both of those are valid tests. Don't get me wrong. Pricing is a valid test without a shadow of a doubt, but I wouldn't necessarily say it should be your first stop when it comes to testing. Um, and then another thing here is that I think a lot of brands don't pay attention to, and this is a bit more general, but it does kind of tie into testing as well. A lot of brands don't really pay much attention to a value equation, right? And so what I mean by that is this. When you're selling something, anything, whether it be a product or a service, whether you're selling it online or in person, your prospect, your customer is looking at how much do I pay versus how much do I get? And so, what most of us would consider to be a really good deal that would be difficult for us to say no to would be if, let's say, you were buying a $1,000 product for $10. That's a really good deal, and I would be inclined, even if I wasn't that interested in the product, to buy that $1,000 product for $10 because I believe it's worth 100 times more than what is being asked for it. Now, on the flip side of that, if we were to just reverse that, buying a $10 product for $1,000, well, now all of a sudden it's a terrible deal. No one wants to buy that, even if I really want the product, because you're charging me 100 times more than what this thing is worth. And an important point here is that this crucially is perceived value, right? So this isn't the actual value of the product, it's the perceived value of the product. If the perceived value is high, then you have a much higher likelihood of selling the product. If the perceived value is low, even if the product is an expensive product, like to manufacture it might take a lot of money and time and effort, but if the perceived value is low, people won't pay for it. And so what you want to run through with tests is I really like to do the test formation this way first because what we're doing is essentially treating the website in a way where people already use the website in this way. How can we what's the low hanging fruit? How can we speed this up, get people in the checkout a little bit easier, get people the information that they're looking for a little bit easier, etc., etc. But over here, when it comes to perceived value, after we've kind of gotten that low-hanging fruit, I think there's definitely a test that's a bit more abstract that we can start to run, which is about how can we tell people that this, or convince people that this product is worth much more than we're actually asking for it. And an easy way to do that is to just introduce value-dense sections uh, into the website. But crucially, they have to be mobile friendly. And so we can't have big blocks of text. Big blocks of text. We can't have things that are just super unreadable and mobile. There's a big block of text, so you have to scroll for ages to find the information that you want. It has to be mobile friendly. It has to be quick. It has to be easy for someone to find that information. But what you want to do is add that value about the product. So you might think, well, my product's not anything special. It's just X, Y, Z. That's the wrong way to think about it because there's something that makes your product special. Like, even if there's a lot of other brands on the market that sell the same product that you sell, maybe yours is manufactured differently. Maybe it's not even manufactured differently, but you have better quality control. Maybe with the other brands, let's say for example, they all manufacture the same thing in the same warehouse. But with you guys, you double check your products before they go out. well, that ensures that the product's of a high quality, right? Or maybe you don't even get a chance to do that, but you offer a money back guarantee, essentially no questions asked. And so that has two benefits, right? One is a risk reversal, where it's like 100% money back guarantee, but the other one is also we care about you as a customer. At brand name, we care about our customers. If for whatever reason you're unhappy with your purchase within 14 days, we will give you a complete 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. That's something that increases the perceived value and reduces the risk. So there's a lot that you can do here when you're playing around with this value equation. Kind of put all the things that your product is on the right hand side, and put the price on the left hand side, and then attach prices to each of the things that your product is. This is worth $10. This is worth $100, and try and come up with how much you think your product is actually worth. And there's probably a huge discrepancy between how much your product is actually worth versus how much you're asking for it. Now you have to bridge that gap in a way from a UI point of view on the website that is easy for people to digest. And people don't need to work for it. They just go in, they find that information very easily. They're like, oh, this is a really good product. This is actually a really good deal. They make the purchase and they check out. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys today. These are just a few issues that I see people running into a lot with A/B tests. I do want to start posting a bit more regularly on YouTube. If you guys have any questions, please do drop it in the comments down below. Also, if you need any help on your Shopify store, I have a bunch of links in the description just to help you guys out with anything that you need. Otherwise, wishing you all the best and have a great day.